What's happening? January the 17th, 2025, and we're 2 days away from the greatest inauguration in political history. Even bigger than 2016. This is going to be something epic. But I don't want to talk about that right now. I think I'm going to save that. Well, I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now, but I'm going to save it mainly for Monday, after the inauguration, post inauguration. What I want to talk about now, well, I want to still talk about the Los Angeles fires. I mean, again, this just spells corruptness. I mean, you have all these fires spreading. You have the mayor in another country when the fires start breaking out. You've got the governor, Newsom, with his head in his ass like always, doing his corrupt bullshit. But again, meanwhile, they just didn't seem to have water in any of the hydrants in California to prepare for this. Like, they were saying fire trucks weren't even ready for this event. Like, how the fuck don't you have preparation? You have fires all the time in California breaking out, and you don't have preparation for this. Smells total corruptness to me, like I said last week. And then people say, well, why would they do this? Why would they knowingly have all these homes? Why would all these homes burn down? Again, it's MONEY, very simply. Money is the root of all evil. And, it's a sick thing to think that this was corrupted, but I don't see anything that can make me think otherwise. Like, again, how you don't have, water and hydrants at all equals something really fishy to me. And I've seen firemen on TV getting interviewed crying about the whole incident, knowing that they feel that they could have done better in preparing for this. And they even know, without saying, that there's something really bad that happened here. You also have other actors like Mel Gibson hinting at it, that there was corrupt business going on here. Maybe they have like some kind of a master idea in terms of, building future homes. I heard things about wanting to make certain parts of Los Angeles look like Boca Raton, whatever that means. I guess just the communities, the way that they look. I don't know. I mean, that's just something that I heard. So if we weren't going by any news that we were getting from, any feedback that we were getting from the general media, which I deem a lot of it as fake news media, we really wouldn't have anything to cover, right? We would have nothing. We would just be making stuff up, unless we saw stuff with our own eyes that we could film. Like if we were going, to a certain random area and we were filming on a daily basis and we just saw, fights breaking out or robberies breaking out, we wouldn't have anything to report. So we're just going by what we hear. But then once you hear these stories, this is where you have to use your brain. And then you hear the things around it. Like I said, with, no water and hydrants, not enough fire trucks prepared. I also said seed clouding. Why wasn't there seed clouding performed? Like, you knew that this fire had broken out. You could have seeded the clouds and increased the chances for more rain output, which would have helped put out the fires. There was no cloud seeding. But like I said, they have no problem doing that when it's hurricane season. They seed the clouds with no problems to increase rain chances, to increase hurricane chances, which can cause, obviously, people in Florida know hurricanes can cause major damage, where you also have to repair your home or get a new home sometimes if it's not built the right way. Just a lot of corrupt shit in this world, which, like I said, has been going on forever. Never surprises me. It's the world that we live in. I used to think other countries were worse until I've seen what I've seen over the last couple of years. And it's made me think the United States is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. I hate to say that, but that's what it's become. And I'm hoping, and I know, it's not hope, it's knowing that when Trump is back on Monday, that a lot of shit is going to change, for the better. So, in that regard, that's my view on California. It's just it's turned into a very corrupted state, and it's run by very corrupted people, and it is what it is until it's cleaned up. So also, so I'll talk about Monday, so the inauguration. So it's everybody is all weirded out about why it was moved indoors compared to outdoors, where of course more people would be able to view it. To me, they could say the weather, oh, it's cold, and it might be cold, you know what I'm saying? But to me, it's very much more of security. It's just a security issue that they have, obviously, with people, wanting to get President Trump and do bad things, and I think there's nothing wrong with being totally secure, moving it indoors, making sure that you don't have these kind of problems outdoors, where, things come in the air, people come from distances, people could be standing on buildings for miles away. I mean, yeah, you would expect that shit would all be covered, but, just to be safer in general, to be more safe for the people that are attending, even if it's less that are actually going to be able to view the inauguration live, and then they have to watch it on video, and then eventually he'll work his way into the Capital One Arena, and then he'll greet all the people that were supposed to be in attendance at the inauguration. So it's still going to be a big party, and everybody's still going to celebrate it the same way. It's not going to be done exactly the way it has been done mostly in history. The last time it was done like this indoors was President Reagan. I believe it was 1985. And that was deemed cold weather also, probably also more of a security issue than cold weather, because again, there has been ceremonies in very cold weather in Washington, and it's never stopped them from having it outdoors. I mean, we're in a situation now where, a lot of people don't like Donald Trump, the way that he breaks their balls in other places, in other countries, with tariffs, etc., with their performing terrorist acts, the way that he goes by, responding to those acts. Therefore, he's got like a bounty, right? So you have to be careful with President Trump, and make sure that everything goes good. And I have no problem with that event being moved indoors. I think that that's a great move, actually. So again, no matter how much Secret Service you have, you're eliminating that outdoor factor. So, and indoors, you do have all the metal detectors. It's just, there's nothing that's going to happen inside. There's, outside is where the potential was. And, so this is being done for the right reasons, so he's there to serve his 4 more years that he got screwed out of in 2020 and make this country better all around, for forever, right? To make sure that there's, all this bad shit that's been going on, that there's different things put in place that eliminates all this bad shit, especially all the money launderers that we have in this fucking country. I go over that every single week. It makes me sick to see and think of all the politicians that on both sides that are, reaping benefits out of, doing business with other countries illegally. They've just gotten away with it so long that they think it's okay. And it's not okay. It's against the law, and they should anybody that's done money laundering illegally with other countries should be held accountable, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. And like I said, if you're gonna basically, stand inside the Capitol and wave Ukrainian flags, basically at unison, minus about the 40 or 50 sane congressmen and congresswomen that did not months ago, that right there told me how many people are on board with globalism, being globalists, and just making money, extra money in other ways. Again, because the money that they make, they're not making high salaries. I mean, these politicians are not making high salaries. Some of them are rich naturally. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they got rich family. They're rich before they got into Congress. They don't need money. There's others that do need money, and that yearly salary that they're making, even though they're supposed to be serving the people and not looking at it as, oh, well, I'm making this or that, they do, and they will do illegal shit to make, more money. So that's a major problem. In this country, you have to be America first. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, you have to look out for this country before you can look out for other countries. Sometimes, you're going to donate money to other countries as long as you get it back. Use the word donate, not give, because then when you're giving, the only people receiving back are the illegal politicians that were responsible and voted for giving it in the first place. And again, I've been all over this Russia-Ukraine shit for years, and I've already said I side with Putin, okay, because I know what's really going on there. I know his real ambition. It's not just simply taking over extra land. There's a lot of bad things that go on in the Ukraine. There's a lot of pedophilia. There's a lot of they're racist. The government is totally racist in the Ukraine. They hate people with dark skin. People with dark skin in the Ukraine will tell you that. You don't hear about that on our fake news media. You don't hear that. They don't interview people with black skin from the Ukraine and get their views on what they think about Zelensky and his sadistic government in the Ukraine. So I know that there's more reasons why Putin is invading the Ukraine than they're going to make you believe on television, that he's just, some kind of a sick, leader, and he's going to just take over more land, and he doesn't care about all the people that he's killing and all this shit and whatever. No. Putin's the good guy here. He's the good guy here, and that will be shown eventually. He is the good guy here. And Zelensky is, like they said, he's basically just a puppet. I mean, they put him in place to be supposedly the president, but he's basically bossed around by his government. He's not the boss. He's bossed around, and he does what they want. But Zelensky also has homes in multiple places, all over the place, really. I mean, other countries, here in the United States, he's got supposedly multiple properties. I mean, this guy's raking in the bucks, and he's buying new houses, and he's buying new cars, okay? And meanwhile, they're toting him around like he's some kind of like fucking world god, God's gift to the world as a leader, put him on Time magazine last year. Pathetic shit, man. Pathetic shit. So not really much, man, it's getting sunny out here. Not much really else I want to touch on here, for now. I think, I'm going to save most of it for, tomorrow. I'm sorry, Monday. I'm going to save most of it for Monday, post inauguration. Trying to think. Nah, there's really nothing else. Trump keeps, he's filling out, he just filled out the very end of his cabinet this past week. Of course, they still have to go through the senators and approve all of his picks, as they should all be approved. I mean, it's not a problem because it would take 3 Republican senators to vote against his picks for them not to go through. So regardless, if every single Democratic senator votes against his picks, he should have no problem getting all of his picks in. Like I said, needing 3 Republican senators to vote against his picks. And these are all great people. And Matt Gaetz would have made a great pick as well, but there was other shit that happened there. They were coming out more with the smearing that they had already done on him over the last few years with the 17-year-old and, this and that. And, eventually Matt Gaetz, supposedly the rumor is that he's going to run for governor. And I think that would be tremendous if he was governor of Florida. Now he's got the show rolling on OAN. I've watched some of the episodes. I haven't watched all of them, but I mean, he's great, so, he's good in anything that he does. And the great thing about Matt Gaetz is he's America first. I mean, no matter how bad that they want to smear that guy on television and put this guy down, that he's the total opposite. And again, they say, why would the media go and attack Matt Gaetz and attack Elon Musk and attack Vivek Ramaswamy and attack Donald Trump if they're such good people? It's very simple, because the bad people like George Soros are funding the majority of the fake news media, and they basically are, feeding back exactly what the corrupt want them to tell you, the casual viewer. the American citizen, the world citizens, whoever, they want them to feed you bullshit because they have other narratives. They want power. They want the power. They want globalism. They want to just keep holding hands with other countries and making more money, even if it's illegally, if it's in the wrongdoings, under the table deals. This is everybody involved, politicians, just businessmen that are corrupt, and then they honor Soros a couple of weeks ago with the Freedom Medal, and Hillary Clinton. I mean, you're talking about two of the most corrupted pieces of trash on this entire planet, and they honor them with the Medal of Freedom. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Sleepy Joe Biden, another corrupted individual, one of the most corrupted individuals in United States history, one of the biggest money launderers in United States history. They have all the transactions, they have all the emails, they have all this factual proof, and somehow the motherfucker is still as an imposter for another couple of days in the White House, and he hasn't served any jail time, and he managed to pardon his son Hunter, who was supposed to get jail time, and he's not getting any. But that will be handled on a different day. Hunter can still be investigated. Even being pardoned, he can still be investigated, and he will be. Sleepy Joe, they can still do more investigations and do more stuff to hopefully give him some kind of a penalty like he deserves. Just like they're going to investigate, like I've been saying, they're going to investigate the 2020 election. They're going to show that this election was corrupted. Why Trump never got on TV and conceded and said, okay, Sleepy Joe won, I lost. Trump never conceded because he knew that he won. And they do have the proof, and it might have come too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, once that election was certified in 2020, they may have gotten everything a little bit too late. Whatever it was, affidavits, I don't know, people giving factual video evidence. Who knows? I just know that the evidence is there. Trump knows that the evidence is there. And Trump said himself that he never would have ran again if he knew that he really got beat in that 2020 election. Like, he knew that he won. And his reasoning to run again was knowing that this, obviously that this voting would be done differently. Like, that it would, that these votes would, the ones that are supposed to be counted are, and the ones that aren't are not. And to do that, you had to show higher ups in the world, whether it was Supreme Court, whether, I don't know if they ever got it to the agencies. Like, the agencies supposedly were always turning it down. Like, when they were willing to show them evidence, they were always like looking the other way, just like the judges were. They were like, nah, there's nothing here. Meanwhile, like, Giuliani would come and say, oh, they didn't even let us show anything. Like, they say nothing is here, like, we don't have evidence, but like, they're not even letting us fucking show anything. Like, in court, the Attorney General Barr at the time, he kept saying, oh, there's little bits of, corruption and this and that, but there's little bits of corruption in every election. And meanwhile, this corruption would not have overturned this election, is what Bill Barr's wording was. And Rudy Giuliani said, well, Bill Barr never looked at the evidence. So no matter what he says, he never looked at the evidence that we were willing to present. So he's full of shit. And again, you have to also realize that some of these people were probably getting threatened also. Like, if they were going to look into it more, say like a Bill Barr, say like a Mike Pence, like, why did Mike Pence not send those electors back to those states in question and let those people in those states decide if they wanted to decertify? And again, the media will say, oh, Trump was trying to get Pence to overthrow the election. No, he was trying to do what he can legally by the Constitution and send votes in question back to their states. And Mike Pence wasn't even willing to do that. And I would say Mike Pence probably wasn't willing to do that because maybe he was just being simply threatened. Maybe he was being bullied. Maybe he was scared for his life. Maybe they were saying shit to him and he just didn't want to be a part of it. Who knows? I think there was something more to it. I mean, look, Mike Pence is going to be at the inauguration on Monday. Mike Pence did shake his hand at corrupt Jimmy Carter's funeral a week ago. I mean, there's still some bit of respect there. There's not, these guys did work together. You know, Pence was Trump's vice president for 4 years. I always looked at Mike Pence as a really hardcore guy, like a hardcore right guy that was not going to let any bullshit come in his way, and it did. So something scared him, I think. They had something on him, or I don't know. Something happened there for him to not even send those electors back to those states in question. And, you know, with the potential that those electors could have been decertified and then the election would have been overturned, or they would have just recounted the votes and had, you know, onlookers. I mean, look, that whole 2020 election was just done so bad in, you know, mainly obviously it was the swing states, but just the way that they did it. I mean, again, I've said this 100 times, just, you know, sitting there and watching it and, you know, fucking midnight or 12:30 in the morning or whatever it was, and just seeing, you know, oh, there's a water break here. Oh, the electric's out here. Oh, the power's out here. Oh, they're jerking off here. I mean, it was a fucking joke, you know, and all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And this is when Trump was going up big in all these swing states. Like, you're looking at the votes and he's just way fucking ahead. And all of a sudden this happens, and then it takes weeks for them to figure out in each state, you know, who supposedly won. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, meanwhile, people that work for Trump that were supposed to be able to view, you know, these votes being counted. This is by law. You're supposed to be able to stand in the room and make sure that the votes are being counted correctly. And, you know, in some of these cities, like Philadelphia, I think at the time, they were turning Trump's onlookers to go into other rooms. No, you can't be here. You got to get out of here. But by law, you were supposed to be able to stand there and watch and make sure that the shit was counted correctly. They were pushing people in the other fucking room. Obviously, it was a totally corrupted election, again, for many reasons. They don't want Trump in power for many reasons. He's a A-class, A-plus ball breaker, okay? Obviously, everybody knows this. Again, the tariffs that he'll hold on other countries, he's, you know, no bullshit. The minute that somebody fucks up and they don't give our hostages back, another situation that I want to talk about from the other day, you know, he will say, we're going to go in and we're just going to fuck shit up. And they know that he will. You know, while Sleepy Joe will just, you know, sit on the beach and sleep because, you know, he's an imposter, you know, and he doesn't even know, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's just nothing surprises me anymore, and nothing has surprised me my whole life. I mean, I've always had this mindset of, you know, there's just too much bullshit in the world. You know, they can lie about anything from weather to the food you're eating, to people that are, like, there's certain people that have been arrested that have criminal records that they don't want you to know have criminal records. Meanwhile, you could go on those state websites and you could see that these people have criminal records. Like, for instance, Nancy Pelosi has multiple criminal records in the state of California. It's her birth date. It's her. But to actually see what she did, you would have to be a member. I'm not a member of these websites. I mean, you'd have to pay money, be a member. Probably, I don't know. I'm assuming DUI because she's always fucking drunk. But she does have multiple criminal records. And there's other big politicians that do have criminal records. Meanwhile, you never heard about any of these things on the news. You never heard, you know, half of these people. But the minute that Trump would do something that they deemed, you know, bad or something, you know, it would never end. I mean, with all these bullshit cases that they just, you know, pushed on him in the last year, complete jokes of cases, things that should have been settled out of court. And the Trump hating people will still say, oh, he's a convict. Oh, there you got a convict in the White House. If, like I said, bro, if that's a convict, I love convicts. Okay? If that is fucking what a fucking convict is, that is the epitome of what anybody should be, is Donald Trump. Okay? And like I said, man, I encountered this dude for the first time when I was a child, and he was the greatest guy. He treated, as a kid, he treated me with respect. Every time I met him, he treated me with respect. He talks to you like you're his best friend. Like, he gives you that time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not every time. Like, maybe sometimes he's in a rush. He's at a golf course. There's a shitload of people around. You know, he waves, comes and says hello, shakes a few hands. He's got to go. When he's got time, he will make time, and he will talk to every single person, and he will, you know, treat you like you're his best friend. And he'll give you that few minutes, and he treats everybody the same way. Meanwhile, you know, we could talk about a lot of these politicians and like the way that they actually treat you or the way that they really are behind closed doors. Most of these former ex-presidents or imposter presidents are not good people. They treat people like shit. Like behind, like away from what you're seeing on the television, you know, they're not nice people. So like it kind of goes with the flow. But again, they want to make you think that like, you know, Trump is the evil guy and like Sleepy Joe Biden is like this, you know, this great guy that's done so many great things. And, you know, again, meanwhile, he's just a money laundering pig, you know, that's got a fucking brand new nose. I guess that's where he got it from, all these, all this money that he laundered. You know, look at his face. I mean, look at this guy, the span of the last 20 years of Sleepy Joe Biden. You could like, well, really, you could go back 30, 40 years. I mean, where he had like no fucking hair. I mean, that's the other thing. Is this like really Sleepy? Is this really Biden? Is this really him? Or is it like a lookalike? Or is it his brother? Or I don't know, man. I kind of like look at him. I see how fucking frail he is. I see the eyes are still the same. The nose is totally different. The face has changed because he's had plastic surgery. Trump will tell you he's made jokes about his plastic surgery. He's got a little bit more hair than he did probably 40 years ago. That's called hair transplant. You know, he's got a lot of things going on that he was able to buy with that money. But this is, one of the most corrupted politicians. And I think it's hilarious how, like, all of these people that were, like, supposedly holding hands, like, turned on each other. So, you know, you got him and Pelosi and Schumer and Barack. And you got all these people hating each other. Like, they have rifts. The Clintons, they all dislike each other. Well, I mean, Bill Clinton hates his own wife. I mean, they hate each other regardless. I mean, they're still married by law, but they hate each other. They do their own thing. I mean, if you notice, Hillary's always traveling by herself mostly. Bill's always walking around like he's in some fucking daze or something in some, you know, New York or something. He's just walking around in circles with his Secret Service looking at him like he's a moron. I mean, these people, they just don't get along with each other. And again, I would have no problem paying honor to any world leader if they do business the right way. You know what I'm saying? By the laws, and, you know, not going out and intentionally doing corrupted things and, you know, trying to hurt others and, you know, all the corrupt things that so many of them do. What else did I want to talk about? I don't know. I might save it for Monday. The rest, more shit will come to my head. Like I said, I don't write this shit down. I just kind of like think about what I've seen the last week or what I've heard. It kind of just comes off the top of my head. So there's probably a couple other things that I was thinking about mentioning, but yeah, I just I can't think about it right now. So what do I want to say? Anything about sports? Man, the Chicago Bulls, being a Chicago Bulls fan, Jesus Christ, the worst defense, the worst. Well, statistically, the Washington Wizards are worse, but by a couple of points per game. So the Chicago Bulls, the 2024-25 Chicago Bulls, fourth best scoring team in the National Basketball Association, fifth best rebounding team in the National Basketball Association, but second worst defensive team in the National Basketball Association in terms of giving up opponents points per game, and 10th worst in terms of turnovers per game. So when you look at their record, which I believe now is 18-23, yeah, it seems, or maybe 18-24 now, or 19, maybe it's 19-24, something like that. They're like 5 games under 500. If you look at that record, you realize this is why they have a losing record. Because again, if you're fourth best in scoring points and you're fifth best in cleaning up the boards, you kind of are like, how the fuck isn't this team like at least 10 games above 500? Well, again, when you have that bad of a defense that's giving up as many points as they are, like 121 or 122 a game, that's a major issue. And then those turnovers, a lot of the points are coming off of those turnovers. So it's a major problem. And I look at the Bulls roster, and it's just, I see that I've for the last couple of years, I mean, they have a very talented group of guys. But again, in scoring talent or I don't know, playmaking ability, just, running with the ball and, creating shots for others and stuff like that. But when it comes to just like realizing that, to win in that league, that you have to, at times, you're going to have to put your guts on the line on the defensive end. I mean, you have to at least give effort. I mean, some guys, they're going to make shots no matter what. Like, I mean, you could be all up in their fucking body and, with both of your fucking arms up and trying to distract the shot, and they're still going to make their shots at times. I mean, you could have the greatest defense on a player and he's still going to make big shots at times. But it's these lesser players, these guys that are just like open, behind the 3-point line, open on the wing, drive to the basket with no fucking, with no pressure on the ball. And then you're just giving these guys confidence. And then they're making shots. Like, they're looking like top tier players, guys that are coming from the fucking D League. The other night, the Hawks had like 5 rotation players out. They brought up multiple players from the D League, and both players kicked their ass. And the Bulls basically had their whole team on the court. I think they did have everybody on the court. I don't think anybody was out that game. Maybe Dunsumu. Everybody else played. They beat some of the best teams. I mean, they beat Boston. They beat Milwaukee twice. They beat Indiana. They've beat the Hawks twice. I'm just talking like playoff caliber teams. Meanwhile, they've lost to the worst teams. They've lost both games to the Pelicans. They've lost last night to the Wizards, who are awful. I'm sorry, the Hornets last night. The Wizards a couple of days ago. These are the worst teams in the league if you're going by wins and losses. And they've lost to all these teams, and some of them multiple times. So again, when you're looking at the standings, this is the main reason why, is the defense. And then I got buddies of mine that always say, oh, it's Billy Donovan, it's the coaches. It's just easy to blame the coaches. But trust me, Billy Donovan is stressing to the players that they have to defend better. I mean, it's very simple. I could go in the locker room and say, guys, look at the fucking stats. You're giving up 122 points. Oklahoma, who's the best team in the league right now, or Cleveland, they're both battling. But look at Oklahoma. They're giving up like 103 points a game. Shit, I remember the 2011 or 2010-11 Bulls were giving up like 91 points a game. Like, that's crazy. And then like the best defensive team now gives up 103, but still you compare that and they're giving up 20 points to 21 points less than the Bulls are. That's horrific, and again, it's just a lot to do with a mindset. Like your team, your players, they have to buy in and realize that, that we have to make stops on the other end. We have to try to make it harder. We can't be lazy on the 3-point line no matter who's in the game, because these guys are pros and they will make shots. So it's pretty disgusting to watch, and knowing that this team is talented. Like, they are talented, but at the end of the day, they're just a team that struggles to, even make the play-in because, they just don't want to play any fucking defense. It's horrible. And the Blackhawks, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I would have thought that they would have been better this year, somewhat better. I mean, Jesus Christ. We bring in Tyler Bertuzzi. We bring in Teuvo. Connor Bedard in year 2. Nazar, I would have thought would have started with the team. He came up later than I would have liked. Seth Jones is there, although he's always hurt. He's always missing games. Vlasic, good defender. I mean, there's still a lot of their prospects that are going to come up and help the team that have not even come up and played yet. But regardless, all the other free agents that they signed, the little 1-year fillers or 2-year fillers, the guys like Pat Maroon and Alec Martinez and guys like that, I would have just figured definitely better. Like, maybe not even playoffs, but just better. Like, at least competing maybe for like those later spots. And these fucking guys are still the worst fucking team, the least points in the National Hockey League. It's amazing. And they've been like healthy. I mean, like, it's nothing to do with guys, maybe Seth Jones has missed a few or whatever, but like everybody else has been pretty much healthy. Bertuzzi has played well for them. Teuvo has played well for them. Ryan Donato has played well for them. These are vets that are there that have, like secondary guys and shit like that. But Bedard, unfortunately for him, I mean, he had a rut there to start the season. Now he's got going where he's pretty much kind of like scoring goals, it seems like, regularly the last couple weeks. His assists were always kind of decent throughout the whole year. But again, I've said this already, that I think, you would figure from last year, I think Bedard had like 22, 23 goals, and he missed maybe 10 games. This year, you're kind of looking at 30 plus goals. I mean, he's a 19-year-old kid. That's the other thing. I mean, I think, to me, it's all in his head. It's all in Bedard's head. Like, he just has to be more aggressive. When you got the kind of shot that he's got a rocket shot. So he's got to be shooting it more than anybody, really. I mean, every game, when you're looking at shots on goal, there should never be a game where he's shooting it like once or twice and like fucking, I don't know, even Bertuzzi is shooting it 6 or 7 times. Like, Bedard is he's your highest skilled player, like, in terms of his shot, his speed, what he can do. He has to get into that mode, and he's starting to, but it didn't start off that way, and that hurt them. And then the goaltending, it started off actually fantastic. I mean, they were doing really well. Soderblom and Mrazek, I mean, both guys were playing well to start, but lately it's just kind of like Mrazek was out. He got hurt for a little bit. He came back. He got killed a few games. Soderblom up and down. I don't know. The Blackhawks, to me, with their prospects that are coming, I still think they need to get one more star scorer, like a big star scorer. And there's some that are becoming available. There's going to be a couple that are available this year in free agency coming up. Rantanen from Colorado and Marner from Toronto. And in 2 years, you have McDavid, which I can't imagine McDavid would ever leave Edmonton. Like, I don't ever think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying in 2 years, but I don't want to wait 2 years. I don't want to wait 2 years to try to sign another guy. They just need to bring in maybe one of these guys, Rantanen or Marner, pay them, because they're going to have a shitload of money again. And especially Marner, I think, is like 27. Rantanen might be like, I don't know, 28 or 29. I mean, these are still fairly younger guys. Davidson, the GM, I mean, he did what his plan was to just build back up the system, the minor league system, some of the trades that they had made in the past several years. They lost draft capital, so his goal was replenishing the system with more, with those draft picks that they lost. And he's done that. I mean, it's to the point now where we have so many, young guys, draft compensation from these last few years that are sitting in the minors. Eventually, some of these guys, they're just going to have to be dealt. They dealt Isaac Phillips the other day, one of their young defensemen, who I thought when he came up, he played pretty well, but he was traded. So it's going to get to the point where some of these guys are just going to have to be dealt because there's just no room and they can't hold on to them forever in the minor leagues. So anyway, the Blackhawks are still awful. They lose a lot of close games, but they lose. It's a problem, and I think it's disgraceful for a team that's just won multiple championships in the last 20 years to go to what it's been like the last couple of years. It's pretty bad. And again, they have, they did get a foundational great piece like a Connor Bedard from sucking so bad and getting that, which I feel is eventually he's going to be great. I think he's getting there, but again, he's 19 years old. You got to give him a break. He is a kid. He's not even allowed to drink for a couple more years, and he's, everybody's putting it all on his head, so, but to be great, you have to accept pressure. And I think he's starting to do that. And I think it's going to, I think he's going to be great in the long run, but they definitely need to add that one more big scorer. And I think that would just make the team so much better. I mean, then Bertuzzi's got like 14, 15 goals. I mean, these guys, Tuvo, like 12 goals, Donato, like 12, 13 goals. I mean, these guys are like really good pieces, but you need that other major piece that's just consistent, like a really great goal scorer that's going to 40 plus goal scorer. You need, or at least 35 plus goal scorer, and like an 80 point guy, 90 point guy, somebody that's just a big major superstar. And you could just be like, oh yeah, well, look, they're in line to get the fucking number 1 pick again. But you don't know what that's going to, amount to. Like, who knows, So, when you have something guaranteed in front of you, like when you have star players that are becoming available, trade or free agency, you're going to have to, go for one of those guys. You don't want to just keep going every year and just being like, oh, well, we're going to go with all of our draft picks. And I mean, because again, some of those guys are going to pan out, but some of those guys are not going to be the greatest. Like, they may be 3rd line, 4th line players, but they're not going to be like fucking, top of the line players. And you do need multiple top of the line players on teams to succeed in any sport. I mean, so anyway, what's up, Tyler? So anyway, that issue needs to be fixed really fast with the Blackhawks, hopefully this offseason, because I said, again, it's just another, bad year a horrible year there, and with the Bulls too. The city of Chicago, I mean, that's two of the teams obviously that I support, and of course being a Yankee fan and watching the way that World Series went down, and the Raiders season, which I said I attribute mainly to injuries, but regardless, they were still 4-13 and they were fucking awful. But I really feel like that the Raiders are in a great position in terms of the talent that's there, the money that's coming. They're going to have well over $100 million to spend next year. They're going to have a shitload of money. Now, they do have to try to bring back a couple of their own guys, but the bulk of your better players, Bowers, Myers, Crosby, Wilkins, Bennett, the cornerback, those guys are already there. So, you have to, re-sign Spillane, probably, I would say re-sign Hobbs, possibly re-sign Malcolm Kuntz. Don't have to re-sign every single player. And in the draft, I would just draft another wideout. I mean, like, I'd stick with Aiden O'Connell. I'd ride Aiden again and let Aiden have a real chance. Kid has got a quick release. He's mostly an accurate quarterback in the games that he's played in. He doesn't turn it over much. And again, in the world that we live in now, the way that they've made these NFL quarterbacks, they want everybody to be the hybrid. So they want these guys to be able to run and throw. So this is where Aiden gets a slap in the face because he's not the most mobile guy. Okay. But let's look at some of the greatest quarterbacks in history, like Hall of Fame quarterbacks that won championships. For instance, Tom Brady, who's our part owner right now, he was not the most mobile guy either, okay? But he managed to, be a part and start on 7 Super Bowl championship teams between the Patriots and the Bucks. So I think you ride Aiden O'Connell and you just add another piece on offense. We need a running back, a consistent running back. I mean, that's the other thing. They need to figure that out, like whether it's within, and I feel like they do got some young guys there that have the capability, but again, injuries, too many injuries, too many games missed for all of our running backs this year. I mean, just look, Zamir White played if even half the games, and Madison, he won't be back. I mean, he was a backup anyway, but like Sincere McCormick, I mean, these guys barely played. So I think, those guys are capable, but again, you could draft a running back. You can, buy a running back, trade for a running back. Again, the worst thing they did was letting Jacobs go. Jacobs is on pace to be a Hall of Fame running back. He was one of my favorite Raiders. He has the logo tattooed on his body. The minute he got drafted, him and Crosby tattooed that Raider logo on their body. And his mindset was to be a Raider for life, Josh Jacobs. And, they offered him a deal, and unfortunately, Green Bay offered him a better deal. And, and he's gone, and he had a great year for Green Bay. And I just think, if he would have stayed, this is a durable guy. I mean, he does miss a few games here and there, but I mean, I don't think this year he might have missed any, actually. But for us last year, I think he might have missed 3 or something, but usually totally healthy. He plays almost every game, if not every game. Hard to bring down, finds the holes fast, hits them hard. He's got skill that, other running backs, a lot of running backs do not have. And also could catch the ball out of the backfield. Terrific. I mean, that's another weapon. I mean, you got him 2 ways. He could catch the ball and run it. Just the way that at least the Raiders and most other teams look at running backs, it's piss poor. They just look at they're the fastest position to break down. Their bodies break down quicker than anybody else. And, we're going to, basically that's the position they decided to blackball out of any position, that running back. So teams are we're not going to, most teams, again, not all the running backs. I mean, you're seeing Barkley with the Eagles, Henry with the Ravens. I mean, these guys, Barkley's still pretty young. Henry's got some age on him. I mean, these guys, 2,000 yard, and Henry close to 2,000 yard runners. I mean, so they just show their worth. I mean, it's just such a big part of an offense, or it can be, and it could take so much pressure off the quarterback position. That's part of it, and the Raiders tried to run. It's not like they went away from the run. They kept trying to run, but stubbornly, because there was it was just hard, with injuries and to the offensive line sometimes, and just the best running backs on the team sometimes. There was just nothing there most games, but they stuck with it, and they said, hey, we got to try to keep teams honest. We're not going to, we don't want to throw it 45, 50 times a game, but, it's a big part of the offense. I mean, and we're seeing the most successful offenses in football. Again, they have big running games. I mean, Detroit or the Ravens, I think, might have the best statistical offense, and both teams have tremendous running games. I mean, you look at a ton of their yards was on the ground, was rushing. So that's a big piece that the Raiders are missing. They need a consistency, at least 1,000-yard type of a rusher to come back in the fold within or somebody from without, and fill that position. And I mean, because if you're looking at receiving on this team, I mean, even with just Bowers and Myers, you're talking about, again, two of the only 3 teams in the league this year had 2+ 1,000-yard receivers: the Raiders, the Lions, and the Jets. Okay, so they've got weapons receiving wise, and plus you still got Michael Mayer there, tight end. You still got Trey Tucker, who's going into year 3, and he had close to 600 yards. But I mean, for like a third receiver, he did pretty solid, and he still has a lot of speed, and he could beat you down the field. But I still think add one more receiver to replenish Adams leaving, get the running back position filled, go with Aiden O'Connell. Get your defense healthy, because your defense was just totally fucking gutted. I mean, in the end, they still finished middle of the pack in terms of yards given up. That's the tremendous thing. Like, their defense was severely gutted, and they were like 14th or 15th in yards given up per game. So even like their depth players, most of the games were playing pretty well. But like, I mean, again, when Crosby misses 5 games, and Wilkins misses like fucking 13 games, our big free agency prize, $28 million, one of the best defensive tackles in the game, and Malcolm Kuntz, who is going to be on the right end, he misses the entire season, coming off an 8-sack season. I mean, bro, right there, your defensive line, which was going to be your strength, is totally gutted. And then you're relying on backup players that just aren't as good. Like, they're okay, but they're not as good, as these guys. And then even the secondary, I mean, Jacorian Bennett, I mean, he ended up missing like the last 7 games, I think. I mean, and he statistically on the year, this was year 2 for him, he was like one of the highest rated quarterbacks in the league throughout the majority of the games he played this season. I mean, he didn't allow a touchdown catch. I know that. He barely allowed any catches. He was the one cornerback that basically shut down Jamar Chase this year. When we played the Bengals, we got our ass kicked, but Jamar Chase didn't do any of the ass kicking. Jamar Chase had like 4 or 5 catches for like 40 yards. I mean, he didn't do shit really in that game. And that was Jacorian Bennett. He did the best job on him out of anybody this year. And Jamar Chase is top of the line. He's fucking good. So anyway, he missed a bunch of games. Nate Hobbs missed a bunch of games. Just too many injuries on that defense, man. So, like I said, I think the pieces are there. I really do. I don't give a shit about any of these other teams in the division. Like, they almost beat Kansas City twice. Like, almost shoulda, woulda, coulda, but like, they almost beat, and they beat Kansas City last year. They almost beat them both times this year. Chargers and Broncos, I mean, whatever, bro. They both made the playoffs. You saw how that worked out. I mean, these teams got their asses whipped. I mean, bro, we're that 4-13 record. It's not the way it looks. It's bad the way it looks to a point, but like, I know the reason why, so they'll be okay. They'll get okay pretty fast. And then I keep reading the things about, well, they're going to bring Ben Johnson in from Detroit. Again, another fucking offensive coordinator, that has a successful offense that he's coaching, that's making him look fantastic, and then he reaps the benefits of getting a head coaching job if that's who they end up hiring. He's supposedly the number one guy. He's the number one guy that all the teams that are hiring coaches want is Ben Johnson. To me, you're talking to somebody that says, I have the Jimmy Johnson philosophy. Again, a Hall of Fame coach who will tell you, good players, great players make great coaches. It's the truth, man. I mean, you could sit there, you could coach guys up, you can, call certain plays and this and that. It all comes down to execution. If you're better than the other guy, you're going to be successful. And that equals wins. And when you win, that makes your coach look great. It's very simple. Whereas you can have the greatest coach, supposedly, guy who gets along with all the players. Like, look, Antonio Pierce, this is a guy that they pushed into this job, the players. Well, don't bring Harbaugh here. keep fucking Antonio. We love Antonio. And all of a sudden you fire him like that, like with a snap of a finger. And again, it wasn't Mark Davis. It was more Tom Brady's influence. It was Brady that came in, and Mark Davis confided in Brady. He said, look, I want you to be the input. Like, I'm going to listen to you. So what should we do here? Now, if it was up to Davis, I think Pierce would still be there, and Telesco would probably still be there, the GM. But Brady, he has the mindset, let's go get another coach, another GM. Let's just keep retreading it, the same shit. I mean, and that's not healthy, man. You can't keep eliminating coaches and eliminating general managers. Like, it's just dumb. You have to stick with these guys for a certain amount of time. Again, it comes down to the talent. And like, if the players if there's a lot of injuries, like I said, they had mass injuries this year. Like, they were one of the most injured teams, if not the most injured team overall. I'd put San Francisco up there. They were definitely really gutted compared to other teams also. And it showed in their record. I think they only won 6 games. So, I mean, that was a team that made the Super Bowl last year. Again, they made the Super Bowl. They were obviously a more healthy team last year. The players really haven't changed. I think they might have lost a couple of guys, gained a couple of guys, but it was mostly the same guys. And they just had too many guys out, too many times, and that affected the outcomes of games. And I hate the 49ers, and I'm just sticking up for them in that sense that you have to have your best players mostly. Like, you can't have a completely gutted offense and defense and expect to still go out and beat teams that have predominantly all their starters on the field. It's just not feasible. It's not realistic, And then you'll have the fans of those other teams that are healthy, and they'll say, oh, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. It's no fucking excuse. It's reality. It's just the way it is. Like, I wish every team would always have all their players. Like, then there would be no questions. They're like, you have all your guys. There's no injuries. Everybody's invincible injury-wise. And we see the best on the best. And that's what wins. But, and look, the Lions, they lost one of their best players a few games into the season, Aiden Hutchinson. And their defense still did pretty well, throughout the course of the year. They were, and then they've had other injuries to their defense as the year's gone on. But they've, they're in position now to go to the NFC Championship game if they beat Washington tonight. But their offense is great. That's the thing. Like, their offense has mostly been healthy the entire year. I think they missed David Montgomery for a couple of games, and now he's supposed to come back. So they have all their pieces on offense, and that's the best part of their team is their offense. So they're still able to outscore people, even though a lot of their defenders are out. Plus, it's a lot of backup defenders also. It's not all starters. It's like with the Raiders, it was like 5 or 6 starters in some games. With the Lions, it's like a couple of starters, but then it's like a lot of like second string guys and shit like that. So, anyway, see, like I said, as far as it is up to me, I would always want everybody to be healthy. I would never want the easy way. I would always want the hard way. Don't take a superstar out and be like, oh, this is going to be easier for us. Like, bro, I'm not like that. Like, I want the competition. So, like, I was telling my buddy yesterday who's a Dodgers fan, like, well, okay, so I'm going to every sport, basically. I'll whisk our way into baseball real quick. So, like, they got Sasaki, right? So, it's like, bro, first of all, the Japanese players are unproven on this turf in this country, right? Until they're proven. I don't think Yamamoto's anything spectacular. I did want the Yankees to get him to a point last year because they needed a starter. And I liked his splitter the way I saw it on film. But then when I saw it throughout the course of the year when he did pitch, I wasn't that impressed. It didn't look as good to me as it did in Japan. So I don't know. I don't know. I think Yamamoto I think he'll be okay. Like, I think he'll probably be a solid pitcher. I don't think he's going to be all that. And Sasaki, the same thing. Let's see what he's got first. Like, oh yeah, he's got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Who fucking cares? Like, how many fucking pitchers don't have a 98-mile-an-hour fastball in fucking Major League Baseball these days? These guys all throw fucking, plus 90, hard upper 90s. They have good secondary pitches. Okay, yeah, he's got a splitter too. Bro, okay, you were successful in Japan. I get it. They built you up because you're coming from Japan. This is what they do with all the Japanese players. The only Japanese players that have succeeded tremendously in Major League Baseball that are on Hall of Fame pace are Suzuki, Ichiro, and Ohtani. I hate to admit that, but Ohtani, he's good, man. He's good. We shut him down in the World Series, but again, the stupidity beat the Yankees. But overall, Ohtani is top of the line. He's good. He's had some like years that are like not the greatest, but I mean he's top of the line. But you look at the rest, like I would say Matsui, Hideki Matsui for the Yankees. I'd say he's right up there. I mean, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but I mean that guy was a clutch fucking player, and I mean he had a really good career. And I would say Masahiro Tanaka for us. I'd say he's one of the top Japanese players overall. You know, for the 6-7 years that he pitched Major League Baseball, he had a successful career. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was good. He was a really good player. There's other ones, Kuroda. There's a few others. I mean, Nomo. I mean, of course, that was the hype. You know, at first with the Dodgers. I mean, he had a few good years, but then he kind of like flaked out. But a lot of the Japanese players, they don't pan out overall. So like, let's see first what these guys do, like consistently though, but not just year one. Like, let's see year 2, year 3, year 4. Like, let's see how they evolve also, because some guys could come into the league, they could have a great first year, and then they just fucking go down the pisser. So again, Japanese competition, not to take away anything from the competition in Japan, but it's nowhere near the competition in the major leagues, you know. So. And Yamamoto definitely saw that in a few games last year. Maybe not against us, unfortunately, because the Yankees seem to, I don't know, they'll hit some of the best pitchers great, and then they'll get shut down by some of the worst. And again, I'm not saying that Yamamoto is one of the worst. I'm just saying, I don't know, we look pretty not great against him. I remember both starts. There was regular season, and then there was the World Series. And they were kind of like, I don't know, I think they scored 1 in the regular season, maybe the 5 innings he pitched against us in the World Series. I don't think we scored any. Anyway, I don't look at his stuff and I'm like, you know, blown away. Like, you know, I'm kind of like, how's this guy shutting us down? You know, like, but anyway, I told my buddy that's a Dodger fan, I said, get your best, because we're going to be waiting for you at the end. Like, I do think there's teams capable of beating the Dodgers in the National League. I think the Phillies still have a shot. I think the Braves, healthy, still have a shot. I think the Mets do not have a shot. You know, and again, it's nothing on the Soto signing. What have the Mets done besides getting Soto? They're probably going to lose Alonso, and then they brought back Manaea, they lost Severino, they signed AJ Minter. I mean, bro, who cares? Like, what like, they think Juan Soto played with fucking Aaron Judge last year, bro. Like, do Mets fans realize that he left Aaron Judge to go play with Francisco Lindor or Pete Alonso? Bro, he left the MVP. He left the guy that was getting him better pitches to look at for the Mets. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, Juan Soto ain't going to fix all your problems, especially if you're not bringing Alonso back. You're a worse lineup than you were last year, because, like, you had Alonso and you had Lindor and you didn't have Soto yet, but now you added Soto and you still have Lindor, but you might not have no Alonso. So then how much of a true improvement is that? I mean, like, yeah, Soto's a better average hitter than Alonso is. He'll get on base more in general than Alonso will, but you're still going to miss that piece of production, the guy that can hit, 30 plus home runs and drive in 100. So, and pitching wise, I don't know how the fuck they're going to get by. So I don't even put them in that category. I mean, they may make the playoffs again, but they're not beating the Dodgers. Unless the Dodgers get like a shitload of injuries, they're not having a chance of beating the Dodgers. So I would say Phillies, Braves, Padres I'd still put up there, because Padres still have a good team. They still have, and they played them tough last year. I mean, so, and the Arizona, they got Burns. I mean, they could, Josh Naylor, they could beat them also. So I think there's a few teams that are capable in the National League, but I think we're going to be there. Again, got to stay mostly healthy. I don't think anybody in the American League is stopping the Yankees. And I think we'll see who comes out of the National League. I think the Dodgers have a great chance again to come out of the National League. But like I said, I think there's other teams that are capable too. So I said, get your best, get your best. And we'll be waiting for you at the end. And this is going to be a cleaner Yankee team. This is going to be, it's built differently in the sense it's just going to be, a more fundamental baseball team. Like, there'll be better base running. There'll be better fielding. It was just, so many games last year. It was just painful to watch, especially in the World Series where it bit them in the ass. All those errors and just that slop and guys getting thrown out on the bases, And look, Soto, like I said, I would have liked to have Soto back. But again, for the right price. I put a post on here that said, if Soto gets paid over 40 million average per season, let him walk. I put that at the very end of the season. Now, deep down, I knew that he would make more than 40 million per year because he's still 26 years old, and you're kind of paying him investment wise, like what he can do in the future. When Judge got paid, he was 31, or he was going to be 31. And you already kind of saw, like, this guy's going to hit 50 fucking home runs plus average pretty much every year as long as he's on the field. But Soto, even though that was his first 40 home run season last year, you're kind of like, well, okay, he's 26. In the next 5 years, maybe he could build up to a 50-plus home run player. I don't think so. I think Yankee Stadium was a perfect stadium for him with the short porch and right. And even though he has power to all fields, but yeah, he's going to a bigger park. Yeah, he's a weaker lineup. I mean, he doesn't have Aaron Judge. Juan Soto's gonna have a good year. He's just not gonna. To me, he's not hitting 40 home runs. He's probably gonna drive in 100 runs, I would think, but we'll see. And then batting average, we'll see. He fluctuates. Some years he's 270, some years he's 290. He's won one batting title. But he got the bank, man. He made that 51 million per year, which is going to eventually go up to 55 because of some opt-out clauses that he has. If he opts out, then they would have to pay him like up to 55 million per year if they want to avoid him opting out. Oh my God, I still can't believe that Cohen got paid him that much. Like, somebody had to tap out. Somebody had to say, I give. And the Yankees said, I give. And I'm glad they did, because like I said, I can't even believe their offer got as high as it did. Like 47.5, and one more year, even though they were just trying to extend the contract. That's why the average was lower than he got with the Mets, the 51. But I'm surprised. Hal Steinbrenner, he really went out year-wise and annual average-wise to try to keep him. But at the end of the day, honestly, and I tell everybody this, I'm glad for that amount of money. I'm glad that he's gone, and I'm very happy with the pieces that we were able to fill in. With that yearly salary, that 51 million that we lost, we were able to get some really good pieces that we weren't going to be able to get all these other pieces. Like, we might have gotten Goldschmidt, but like Max Fried, he was never going to be a Yankee if we kept Soto. Like, the Yankees already had a good pitching staff. They already had a good starting rotation without Max Fried. So, like, that was just a luxury. You could say, well, okay, Soto's gone, so we want to make our starting rotation even better. So we're going to bring in Fried, and he's going to upgrade the starting rotation. We're going to bring in Devin Williams. We like Luke Weaver, a closer. Like, he did some good things at closer last year overall when he was in there. Again, a short sample size. But, hey, we'll get Devin Williams, and we'll get even deeper in the bullpen. You lose Clay Holmes, who was shaky, whatever. Goldschmidt, no matter if you want to say he's on a downslide or whatever, he's still better. His production last year, 22 homers, like 80-plus RBIs, I think. He hit like 260s. Bro, that's way better than what Rizzo gave us last year. And Rizzo was hurt a lot too, but still, that way better than what Rizzo gave us. And Goldschmidt is just a better career player than Rizzo is, and now you're bringing him to the Yankees. He's going to get more motivation. He's going to be on a team that's actually capable of getting to the World Series, and I think he's going to do good. Like, I'm expecting Paul Goldschmidt to do good things, and Bellinger, I expect him to do good things. Like, I think he's going to be 30 plus home runs. Like, okay, he hit 18 last year, but the year before I think he hit 26. But this guy has hit, I think, 47 home runs before. There's no doubt in my mind that Bellinger, you put him in Yankee Stadium, you put him in our lineup, and he's definitely, I see 30-plus home run capability and hitting for a solid average. And, he'll play multiple positions, play the outfield, play first base. And Jason Dominguez, that's obviously, our top guy, our top prospect. He's finally going to get his chance. I expect Jason Dominguez to be a great player. I really do. I saw the same vision for Aaron Judge. It panned out. I saw the same vision for Gleyber Torres, actually, to be great. Now, I think Gleyber Torres has had a good career. I think, obviously, his defense has cost him those errors, and then the base running gaffes. Overall, been a good hitter. I think I expected a better hitter, actually. Like, he's good. He's good, but I expected even better. But some of these other guys like Greg Bird, Clint Frazier, like I always thought they had the capability to be like solid players. I don't think I ever thought Greg Bird was going to be a great player. Like there was people that were hyping Greg Bird up like bigger than Judge. And that's comical. Like Greg Bird was not, even with the injuries, like the injury problems Greg Bird had, Greg Bird was never going to be as good as Aaron Judge. I mean, Aaron Judge is the top. He's at the top. He's the best. You're not going to be Aaron Judge. So I think right there, that was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard at the time. But I saw Greg Bird, like if he stayed healthy, I think he could have been a solid player for the Yankees, a solid first baseman. And Clint Frazier, I actually saw bigger things for. Like I thought he had star capability, like maybe not superstar, but like star, like 270, 25 homers, 90, 80 RBIs, depending where, good defender. But then fucking guy, started getting concussion problems, fucked with his vision. I mean, bro, there's nothing you could do. That's the sad thing sometimes. I mean, some of these guys, the most talented guys, it goes back to Brian Taylor with the Yankees back in the early 90s. I mean, I used to watch that kid pitch when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was a child. I was watching this fucking guy. I mean, he was just, he was lightning. And then, unfortunately, he blew his shoulder out in a barroom fight with helping out his brother. And that was it, man. I mean, that's the end of his career. So, I mean, sometimes guys, they could have all the talent in the world, and then sometimes they get fucked. Like injuries come about, and you're just never able to see like what they could have transformed into. And I think that they call that lost talent, So lost talent it sucks. It sucks. Like I said, I wish everybody could be healthy all the time. I wish everybody could have their best rosters, and then you see there's no excuse. Then you see who the best is. And when injuries come into effect, and you're playing a team that's fully healthy, it's just not the same, bro. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you got to play what's in front of you, but I'm just saying, like, it's not the same. So, goddamn, I've been going for a long time today. This is a long Shane's Views, Shane Live, whatever I want to call this. Anyway, all right, I'm out. So I'll be back Monday, post-inauguration, celebrating the greatest president in the history of the world. Not in the history of this country, the history of the world. The great Donald John Trump. And he's back to save the world. He's back to save the world. Okay? I'll see you Monday, post-inauguration.